Ba-doom.
Oh, hello. This is the Game Scientist. We're back here for part two with more science and uh, more auditing of Skyrim. We are now going to go to meet the Greybeards. We're going to meet the Greybeards. We're going to try to at least try to do basically all these blade quests, and then make a gradual uh, progress. Make gradual progress. Um, Here we go. Oh, hopefully here, no one has arachnophobia. If I had a dime every time if I had a dime every time I've had to ascend those thousands, what is it? How many thousand steps of Mount Hyrule? Then I could probably be very quite wealthy. Um, Yeah, I have to do this quest time and time again. Anytime I wanted to do a different kind of character, I would have to do this quest over and over and over and over and over and over. And it's a passage. It's a passage of right away, and it's the way it is and the way it's always gonna be.
You there.
Want to get anywhere, you gotta do at least these first part of the main quest. Especially if you want more and more dragons to appear, you're gonna have to do some more of this main quest, and we're doing that right now. If you notice back there, there was two guys that prompted me. They prompted me, asking for some help for something. Why did I ignore that quest? Why did I just leave those two guys here? I'm going to explain it to you. In Dawnguard, in the Dawnguard expansion, there is a terrible, terrible part of that expansion called the Mysterious Traveler. The Mysterious Traveler are vampires that spawn at night, and they will attack NPCs, including important NPCs that you need to buy and sell from. And guess what, folks? When they die, they don't come back. And yes, I said the D word on YouTube, and I don't care. And that is the facts. The facts is so. What I've noticed is these two red guards really do help the guards out, because usually the attack happens in the front of the city. So these two guys are essentially the bodyguards. I know I'm trying to kind of go for 100% completion when it comes to Skyrim, but at least until Dawnguard is done, I'm not going to be touching these.
Foolish old woman. You know nothing. Nothing of our struggles, our suffering.
Usually when I play Skyrim, I don't take the wagon anywhere. I don't take the coach the coach and carriage here to the different cities. I usually just walk there myself. But well, as you can kind of understand, we're trying to 100% the game, so we're kind of trying to cut down on any time. So this is different. This is a different circumstance than usually my normal playthroughs of this. But it's you know, it's just to cut down time. I mean, you know, I did actually have a mod, by the way, back when this game first came out, that turned the carriage ride into a physical carriage ride. It basically, like in the beginning of the game, you notice how you're actually physically riding in the carriage. Somehow someone made a mod that can turn that whole ride into a physical ride. It was very glitchy, very kind of nasty, because any goats or anything in the way could make the thing glitch out, go crazy. And yeah, there was a lot of mods I put in the beginning that were just simply very chaotic. Just were absolutely crazy. I mean, like I used to have lanterns, street light lanterns, and I mean, I remember I had a mod that made nighttime true nighttime, meaning we're not talking about like a night light in the sky. I mean, it's dark and it's actually kind of scary, you know. And you know, I used to have werewolf mods, you know, where you know, but the only problem was the werewolves were almost nearly invincible at times, so it really made things scary, you know. So yeah, you know, but a lot of that stuff, of course, was fairly not good. A lot of those mods made the game very unstable. I mean, I used to have PTSD to go to Falkreath because there was a crash point around that point. It's like film being snipped, you know. It was like, boop, right back to desktop. That was the way it always happened. And you knew it. It was probably the wagon ride or something. The lanterns. I don't even have those mods. This is the good old games version of Skyrim, so I don't even have any mods on here. It's just the game is as it is, except for whatever came from the Anniversary Edition, which is from the Creation Club. That's it. Look out! Flying skeever! Flying skeever! Now this bandit coming up, they always prompt you, you know, they always want to try to intimidate you and stuff. I always ignore them and just clobber them. Yeah. Just starting to talk about it, the path to Iverstead for new players, you know, especially when I was first playing this, you know, there would be times, you know, until I develop a level of familiarity with Skyrim and stuff that, it was very easy to get lost and get confused about where the path to Iverstead is, because most of the locations in Skyrim are on a main road of some sort. You know, it's fairly straightforward to get to most places. Iverstead is a little different. You can see the sign for it, but then you go, well, what? But I don't see a road, and what it is, it's just barely a footpath. It's almost like something you'd see in England with some of those pathways they got out in the countryside, where it's like just barely, like there's grass growing over it, it's barely taken care of. You would even know that there was a public footpath there, you know? But when we get there, you know, I'll show you, you know, it's at first you always doubt yourself. You go, well, I don't think I went the right way. And it's like, well, you gotta kind of trust yourself and kind of hug the mountain, and you'll see. It's kind of weird. On my original first playthrough of the game back in 2011, I did actually do the Stormcloak Rebellion. I usually just go now with the Imperials for now on, because really, to be honest, the Stormcloak, what's the point to fight for the Stormcloaks? Because really, in truth, you know that when Elder Scrolls 6 eventually happens in my lifetime, you know, they're not going to have the Stormcloaks in charge, or they're not going to have Ulfric as the king of Skyrim. You'll just hear that eventually it became Imperial Province again, you know? They may do a little bit of a tinkering to say, well, you know, that maybe there was an interim government. They won't really try to state if it was Imperial Stormcloak, but basically the point is that probably after Ulfric passed, that you know, that whoever became the next king sort of he made a healing pact with the Empire or something. Yeah. Now, there is a troll coming up ahead. Most of the time, these trolls usually do take a lot of work to fight. I usually have it on Adept, and I have it on medium difficulty. I will let you know, and it sounds kind of weak, I do have it on the most easiest difficulty for time's sake. Because, you know, I don't want to be spending an inordinate amount of time on, you know, running OBS, you know, for a great period of time, doing long fights. You know, I would rather make a lot of try to achieve progress through the main quest and all of my different playthroughs as quickly as possible. I will let you know, there was a failed experiment. I did a 7-hour, about close to 8 hours. And then OBS had a corruption crash. And at the time, the file became corrupted. It was gone. I tried to look up anything I could to fix it. Couldn't fix it. And so this is the reason why the show is the way it is right now. You'll notice it's about an hour to 2 hours. It's because I try to keep it down to just a bare basic amount of quests. Because in fear that OBS just all of a sudden does it again, you know, or when the weather gets bad or something. You don't want to do a long 8-hour playthrough, because at any time anything can wipe all that progress. But so you'll notice that when I'm fighting the trolls, that I take them down fairly easy. They still take a little work, but I take them down fairly easy because of the easier difficulty, because their hit points are less hit points. When you increase the difficulty, you have less hit points. They they do more damage to you. On easier difficulty, they do less damage, and you do more damage. This is the way it works since Doom, as I mentioned in the last episode. Now, I'm going to kind of explain a really simple mistake. So, a lot of times I have a tendency to go right for the bridge. So, when I get to Iverstead, I go directly for the bridge to go to the merchant who drops off the goods to the Greybeards, and you could take his goods, and that's a nice little miscellaneous quest. But see, the problem is, I have a tendency to go right to the bridge, and if you go directly to the bridge without touching the boundary of Iverstead, you will not be able to fast travel to Iverstead because it'll say you have not discovered the town. You could be literally looking at it, but you didn't cross and hit that boundary. So do that, and you never have to worry. You can easily fast travel back to Iverstead for whatever reason.
7,000 steps takes its toll. Really? Well, that would be kind of you. Here, take this bag of supplies. At the top of the steps, you'll see the offering chest. Just leave the bag inside, and you're done. Not today. I'm just ready to make the clock. Hrothgar, that was safe.
Now, with these shrines you'll see here on the side of heading to High Hrothgar, you will notice if you could touch each and every one of them as you go up, you just sort of click each one, and it has some text and stuff. But if you get them all, you get a little bit of a blessing or bonus to your stats, for a very short amount of time. But usually what ends up happening to me is I always end up missing one, because of that one troll that's on top of the mountain. He really causes a lot of havoc, and I usually have to abandon him because he's just got too many hit points and he just causes too much damage. And so I usually end up, there's always one I'm missing. I'm always usually missing one. I came to that realization because I wasn't getting any of the blessings for the longest time, and I realized it's because there's this one and I'm always missing it. And I'm just so focused on running up there that I just always miss it. Now here is the what is it? The winter troll, the white troll. Yeah, this guy causes some problems. On higher difficulties, this guy takes a lot of damage. And I like how he's just kind of floating there, and I had to shout him down for a little bit. On an easy difficulty, you shouldn't have too much of an issue. He still hits hard. Even at easy, he still hits very hard. So you could use a fire spell to kind of wear him down a little bit. Even with having having a partner with you, it doesn't really help much. He just hits so hard. I usually just try to avoid him because I just trying to get through the beginning of the main quest and, you know, just try to make some time. I mean, I've had times on higher difficulties with trolls. I am literally pouring everything into them, and they heal. Unlike most of the other characters, they actually heal. They can actually get back hit points if you're not hitting them all the time. So you have to keep on top of them, but at the same time, you got to watch yourself. You know, or you're going to wreck yourself, literally.
Boost!
And again, I will be honest with you. For easy difficulty, that snow troll, you could see it. He hits really hard. Like if I had not backed up plenty enough, if I had tried to become too much of a damage sponge on that, he would have really taken me down fairly easy. I mean, I got the difficulty all the way down, and it's like, you know, he's fighting pretty hard. I'll let you know, as you notice at the West Watchtower, I fought a dragon and took him down within mere moments on the easiest difficulty. But this is just a troll, and oh my goodness, he's just, this is why, I'm trying to focus hard on heavy armor, trying to focus hard on one-handed, to try to get that as high as physically possible, because there are certain enemies that just they're damage sponges. They take so much. So now we are introduced with Arngeir. Arngeir is a character I really liked at first, until of course I came to realization later on. He's a very complicated character. He's kind of like Obi-Wan at first, but the problem is he's like this nihilistic pacifist.
First,
and so the problem is if, for example, he knows that that Aldwin is back, and you need to have as much help as you can. But he just sort of like gives up and doesn't want to help you anymore, and he kind of says, well, that's what the world's destined to just go away. What? Well, and you're kind of like, no, you're the hero, and you're going to put a stop to it. And then, of course, Arngeir, you get into this whole thing with the blades and Arngeir, and basically, you know, I know this is early, and I hate to rant about it. There's going to be a lot of little rants in this. Delphine and Arngeir, they kind of like
you are not the first.
They sort of you feel like in a very abused little pinball, you know, or ping pong ball, going back and forth between the two. Like you're called like almost like a servant or a little dog to the blades, and then all of a sudden you're you're part of that cult, or you're Delphine and her like gaslighting, and it's like, you know, I feel like when they wrote it, they're just mistreating the player left and right. You just gotta understand, like, none of these people, like actually at some point, Arngeir's the other Greybeard actually admonishes him, and for even though he just sort of yells at him, you know, like something like that, but he, you know, and Arngeir comes to the realization he was in the wrong, that, you know, he shouldn't have been trying to excommunicate you, that actually you're in the right, that, you know, you're trying to just save the world, and, you know, he's just being like a freaking hippie. So yeah, so this is the beginnings of sort of the complicated characters you're going to run into.
Thus, your dragon blood gives you an inborn ability to learn words of power. All shouts are made up of 3 words of power. As you master each word, your shout will become progressively stronger. Master Einarth will now teach you.
The Greybeards are kind of weird religion of like devotion to speaking, which sounds like an English class. Sounds like a college English class. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like they're really into the whole yelling. So it's just a cult of old men on a hill yelling, and they're like, "Yes, you must the way of the voice, the way of That's it. Good. Very good. Very good. Very astute. Yes, very observant."
You must unlock its meaning.
Okay, buddy. I mean, they're kind of cool and part of the act. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself before we haven't even done his quest yet. I'm sorry. Well, carry on.
As part of your initiation, Master Einarth will allow you to tap into his understanding of role. Use your unrelenting force shout to strike the targets as they appear. Well done. Again. You learn quickly. Once more. Impressive. Your thumb is precise. You show great promise, Dragonborn. We will perform your next trial in the courtyard. Follow Master Bori.
and again, as in the last episode, we had to mention that I had to basically turn off the music to the game. The composer of Skyrim is, him and his company. They have a tendency to give out copyright notices, and also that they'll take your royalty from your video. Matt Trakaka, of course, it's been stated that we don't take it. We take any kind of money. But with this composer, it's one of those things where I've heard some people try to fight it a little bit, and they get striked. The company that's in charge of this theme music for Skyrim is a very strict company, and they're no nonsense. And so, the easiest thing to do is just silence the music. You still get all the amazing sounds, and I actually going to confess to you, it makes me play the game a little different, because instead of, I have to actually admit it, I think the music was making the game too easy, because it immediately would say there is danger around you, something is trying to fight you. And I think it's much better when you use your ears to actually hear something's moving around you, like someone yells at you, or a wolf is howling, or a monster, or whatever, or something scurrying around. That it uses your ears, and that's far better than just movie soundtrack going on in the background, where in real life there would be no movie soundtrack. So we have the music. To be honest with you, other than the Fuss Rodot, the unrelenting force shout, I have never seen anybody really be gung-ho about any of the other shouts. There was a guy I used to watch back in 2011, when Skyrim finally came out. He flat out told everyone, he said that really he used all the different shouts, there's ones that can drain different kinds of energy and health and stuff, but they seem pretty weak. That really unrelenting shout is generally the best. Whirlwind is generally only best to be used with puzzles that use it. The Horn of Jurgen is a good example where there is a puzzle where you have to use it, but there is just generally not. It's kind of a neat little shout. I just don't really think you. I don't know. I mean, maybe as we get into the later game, after we get through the major quests, maybe we'll make that. We'll try to get all the different shouts. I mean, understand that just this game. The game scientists show we're going to be covering Skyrim pretty much as long as we have to, which is basically years if need be. I mean, I don't think so, but it just depends on how much I want to work on it, But that's something that would be interesting, because I admit that I've not been. I never used to really go after the shouts usually, but usually it's good fun time to fight a dragon. You usually get to fight a dragon or go into a dungeon, and so it gives you some more incentives to play the game deeper.
Good to see you again. Quite a climb, wasn't it? Anyway, much appreciated. Here, take this for your troubles. Thanks again for the legwork.
Need a ride? I can take you to any of the hold capital. Where do you want to go?
Morphle. Now I see you're doing the Horn of Jorgen wind caller. So Myrtle is an interesting town. It does actually have like a vampire story there, and it's a good little eerie little town with some lore and different stories and stuff. I will also let you know it's also a good strong point to dragon attacks. There are dragon attacks that happen in the town all the time. So you just come in and then all of a sudden, look out, look out, dragon. And yeah, so this is the next phase of it. The dungeon that has the horn is I have sometimes a little PTSD with it because remember I said I had the werewolf mod back in the day? They had a werewolf by there, and he would take out all the bandits, and he sometimes take out me, and I would be like running. I'd be like, I would get my adrenaline kicking running so much. It would be kind of refreshing. Luckily he doesn't go in the dungeon with you. That I would probably need to rethink the whole mod, but I still got the mod on Steam. Again, this is this is the version from Good Old Games, which doesn't have any DRM and is your physical copy forever. I love it. The only thing that always annoyed me about Skyrim, though, I always generally thought that the swamps should have some kind of werewolf or some kind of, because they're fairly, they got the whole wolf man kind of creepiness to it, but it's just some very general enemies like mud crabs, and maybe about the scariest thing out there is if you have a dragon spawn out there somewhere, and that's it. That's why I keep going back to that werewolf mod. I do actually feel like it kind of adds some level of importance, but it only added maybe a couple to the game. It didn't really they don't randomly spawn. I think that section of the mod was kind of broke. It didn't really work. Yeah. There's not a lot to say in this dungeon. I admit there's a lot of quiet parts. It's just like the tutorial dungeon. It's just like really anything that involves, the Druger. It's it's a rinse and repeat. You run into Druger, you take the Druger down, then you go ahead, you maybe do a puzzle. A simple puzzle. You finish the puzzle. You fight some more Druger. You fight more Drugers. You go down a little deeper. You get a little lost in the one bigger section. Then you get down in there, fight more Drugers and skeletons, and then a puzzle, and then finally at last you fight something a little stronger, and then there you go. You get a shout, or you get a quest item, or whatever. This area right here always used to kind of confuse my brain. Back in the old days, because I would try to kind of pick at everything and try to get all the treasure and all that, but usually I would end up just backtracking and end up going in circles. Just kind of keep in your mind you're looking for a bridge. And this area actually could be, you could pretty much speed run this pretty quick. But if you don't do that, yeah, you have a tendency to be checking everything, and there's a lot of different stairs with little fire traps, and lots of little skeletons that only take about 2-3 hits. Yeah, just keep in your mind that there is a bridge, and then across that bridge is the puzzle. A puzzle where you will use the shout that you just got from the Greybeards to run as fast as you can. You might have to do this about 2-3 times. My recommendation is to first make sure your companion is out of the way. Make sure they're off to the side so they don't screw this up. Make sure that you start to sprint towards the entrance. Every time you go past one of the stones, they're like a sensor, and they will open a door, and at some point midway, then you use the shout. You use the shout that makes you run super fast, and that will take you past that area. but sometimes you get caught on something. So that's where it could screw up. So just kind of keep an eye on that. And this will conclude the section with Erthegerd for the horn of Jurgen Windcaller. Of course, then you find out, well, Delphine has taken the someone has taken the horn and wants to meet with you. This is the beginnings of the Blade Quest, and we will have a lot to say once we get there. I want to save those words for later. This section is... I generally feel like this is like the worst section of this dungeon, because even though it's in the beginning section, and of course eventually you open an entrance and go back out to that area, this is a very confusing little section here with all the jars and stuff. For some reason, it just confuses me for some reason, and I can get kind of lost in circles with this. So what I did is use the clairvoyant ability that creates kind of a waypoint that I can follow. I don't usually do this, again, but because of the nature of this experiment, I'm trying to not make this be like 100 hours of videos. I'm trying to get as much as I can in each part. So, so I have to do it this way, or I don't want to spend an inordinate amount in one little section of dungeon that I should be able to get through fairly quickly.
Huh?
Looks like we got ourselves here.
And once you grab that letter, you know, and you're starting to head towards
Sure I am.
the main
You got some
quest,
fur, bruises,
you know, to
paperclip,
talk to
and then tie
Delphine
them
or
just
whatever.
like
It's
Atkinson's.
whatever's part of the world you're in.
I know.
These idiots show
Your
up to
lies fall
challenge
on
you
deaf
because
ears,
it's a
deceiver.
part of the
When Lord
the
Mirror appears,
That's not
one
what
of the
you read.
major expansions. You know, the Dragonborn expansion. It it depends on the difficulty you have it at. These characters can kind of hit kind of hard.
You're that visitor been
So yeah,
poking
but
around.
luckily, you know, the guards are like pounding on them, and you
Well,
know, and
we don't
you
have
know,
an
it
attic
was
room,
you know,
but you can
these
have
guys
the
can
one
be a
on the
little bit
left.
of annoying.
Make yourself at home.
So it's now time to talk about Delphine. Delphine is a nasty character. She is a very nasty character. She will gaslight you. She will talk down to you.
So you're the Dragonborn I've been hearing so much about.
I actually find as I get older, I don't know what it is. I find that
We need to talk.
the first time you talk to
Follow
her,
me.
it's actually kind of, you have to be careful what you choose because it actually
We
will
got
end the
rooms and food.
dialogue
Drink,
tree
too. I
and
cook.
start
Ain't much else
over
to
again.
tell.
So you're forced to listen to this nasty, mean woman over and over and over until you hit the correct dialogue tree. I don't know why it is. I've kind of just noticed it. Back in the past, I guess I was so into the game, I never really
Close the
noticed
door.
it. But it's a
Coming
really
right up.
annoying thing. I actually kind of admit that the voice actress, the way she does
Come
Delphine's
on, close
voice,
the door.
it grates on me. I've actually worked with people that were kind of grating like
Now
this.
we
And
can talk.
I will actually confess to you that when I did this section, I actually had to take my headset volume and on my Alienware headset and just turn it off. I had to actually turn it all the way down and just read the text. Because the way the actress would read it, she would like saying, "Well, why do you not trust me? What do you mean you don't trust me?" And it's like, oh my god, I want to progress for the story. I don't feel like doing
Greybeards seem
this.
to think you're the
I really
Dragonborn.
don't feel like doing
I hope
this.
they're
Like
right.
doing this over and over. Like this woman just gatekeeps the freaking main quest.
Surprised?
So
I guess
the
I'm getting
Blades,
pretty
what
good
it
at my
is
harmless
the Blades
innkeeper
in
act.
Oblivion. Well, Morrowind, they had a role too. You know,
You can't
where
be
they
too
give you
careful.
essentially the
Thalmor
opening
spies are everywhere.
main quest that, you know,
You just find that
in
lying
search of
around?
what
I didn't
you're
go to
to
all
do
this
to
trouble
try
on
to
a whim.
save the
I
world in
needed
that
to make
game.
sure it wasn't a
In
Thalmor trap.
Oblivion, I actually felt
I
the
am not
Blades
your
were
enemy.
pretty good
I already
people.
gave you the horn.
They were,
Like I said in my
you know,
note,
they were
I've
very
heard- I'm part of the
sad
group,
people though,
if you
because
really
they
are
had
Dragonborn,
failed.
that
They had
is.
failed to save the
Before I
Emperor.
tell you any more, I
They
need to make sure I can trust.
they
I knew the
failed.
Greybeards
They
would send
they
you
did.
there if
They
thought-
did
when
actually
you showed
fail,
up here,
but
I knew you were
you know
the one the
they're
Greybeards
helping
sent,
you.
and
You
not
know,
some
like
Thalmor
what was
plant.
a Boris or
We remember what most don't. That you're the only
the
one,
one
that can kill
there's
a dragon permanently. Can you do it?
a person
Can
who's
you
on the
devour a
guard and
dragon's
he
soul?
a blade and he really you
Good.
know he
Then
kind of
you'll
helps
have a
you
chance
out
to
in the
prove it to me
sewers
soon
and
enough.
stuff and then you know I actually really like Brother Joffrey and you know and
Dragons
Martin.
aren't just
There
coming
was
back.
some good stuff,
They
but
weren't
then this
gone
game
somewhere
came
for
out
all
and
these
it was
years.
like
They were-
the
now
Blades
something's happening
became
to bring
just
them back to life,
upstarts.
and I need
And
you to
almost
help
in
me
a way,
stop it.
they're a lot like the Greybeards in
I
being
know
kind
they
of a
are.
cult.
And I figured out where the next one will
And
come. We're going to go there.
I'll get to
and you're going to
Esbern. I'll
kill
have
that
a separate
dragon.
thing about Esbern
If we
because
succeed,
I
I'll tell
actually
you
like
anything you
him,
want to know.
but Delphine I don't like. And there's actually
You'll be back.
I got a bunch
you're
of different.
really
I have to kind
Dragonborn,
of really
this
police
is your
myself
destiny.
here. I'm trying not to go jump too far, but the point is she is clearly. She clearly
Something's
has
happening to bring the
illusions
dragons
of
back to
grandeur.
and I need
that
you
the
to help
Blades
me
are just
stop
a
it.
bunch of upstarts. Lily, the Blades right now in
Years
this
ago,
world are
I said
two
almost the
people,
same thing to a
and
colleague
one is
of
living
mine.
in the sewers somewhere.
Well,
so
it
it's.
turned out he was right. and
I'm
I
sorry to
was
say
wrong.
that would be like if I said I'm the Knights
Kynesgrove.
Templar.
There's an
You know,
ancient
like
dragon
like
burial near
well
there.
actually there is actually
if
a
we
real
can get
Knights
there before
Templar,
it
but they're
happens, maybe we'll
mostly
learn
just
how to stop it.
you know a gentleman's club somewhere out in Europe and stuff. You know, they're not like an official government entity, but that would be like that. It would
I
be
need to
like
get
that,
into my
say like
traveling
in like
gear.
the
Give
medieval
me a minute
ages or
and I'll be
something,
ready.
like you know after the fall of the Knights Templar, if like all of a sudden I started a Knights Temple or chapter or something, and they asked, well, who's the other members? Well, it's just
Let's
me.
get on the road to Consgrove.
So just beware that you're these people are out to kind of help you to a certain degree, but they're using you, and they essentially you're going to just become like a patsy to them, a pawn, a lackey, a goon, and you will do as she says. In the past, the Blades always protected the Dragonborn or the Emperor. The real truth is, this is the weird thing about Skyrim. I really wish I did like a separate lecture on this. Skyrim, the Emperor was they apparently kind of made it later on that he was Dragonborn. He's like this guy who could shout it. Well, in this game, you don't so technically you should. Man, that would be amazing. You should be able to have a quest where you can become the Emperor of the Empire. Wouldn't that be something? Because if you're technically by blood, you are technically a Dragonborn. So that means that's the recreation of the line of Emperors then. But Bethesda just kind of dropped the ball on that. They just said, well, you're just the guy who's going to kind of help stop a really bad dragon. That's it. They didn't really want to go any further with it. Even though the roots were there. All the games have that issue. I mean, even Daggerfall has that issue where, literally I have a handbook that was published just before the game came out, really details the political quests they wanted to do, and they just never got to it. So I'm going to keep a lot here, but just to let you know, I recommend turning your game audio down or something. You got a headset on, just take that little knob, turn it all the way down. Because her voice is going to grate you. If you had some nasty people you worked with in the past, I don't know who you are, but it's going to bring back. You're going to be like, oh God, her voice is so grating. Now, when I first started to play the game, I would always choose to follow Delphine because it kind of made sense in the story. You have a choice. You could either follow her, or you can follow her, Esbern. When you get to that point, you can follow them, and they'll make their way to the quest locations. And I'll let you know that don't do this. Because I'm trying to save your sanity here as the game scientist.
I can take you to any of the.
What will happen to you if you do this is their pathfinding, Delphine's pathfinding, and even mostly Delphine, her pathfinding is really bad. So she'll follow the path, but she will keep
back and we'll be
turning around and looking at you. Then she turns around like tank-style controls, like it's Tomb Raider. Remember, is the original PlayStation Tomb Raider? It was tank controls. It would be, you would turn around real slow, turn back around real slow, and it's like that. Now, through some patches, they kind of improved her a little bit, but it's still fairly primitive compared to, say, future games, like The Witcher and the Rockstar games, like especially with the Red Dead Redemption games, where you can, you can actually keep up with, you can actually hold a button and just ride at the same pace as the other supporting NPC. Not here. Just please kind of make your way over to the quest location by yourself if you can. I know you probably. I did it originally by following her because I felt that, well, of course, this is, I'm into the story, I'm into the world, and, but you don't realize it. Well, imagine you're following somebody who is not all there, okay? So they're going to be turning around a lot, and they're just going to stop and pause, and stop and pause. Yeah, don't do that to yourself. Just... You'll get there, just follow the quest locations, There's no timer in the game.
You don't want to go up there. A dragon. It's attacking. Well, I don't know. Not yet. It flew over the town and landed on the old dragon mound.
Okay, so now you're in Heinz Grove, and I always kind of like this section. It's kind of spooky, you know. You're gonna fight a dragon here. Actually, what I'm gonna do is go up to the burial mound and just, you know what? You can start attacking him as soon as he comes out of the ground, and it's kind of freaky because he actually starts as like a skeleton dragon. It's like something out of Castlevania, you know. And yeah, just keep whacking at him and being, you know, of course I have it on the easiest difficulty. Normally I don't do this. When I myself play the game, you know, about, you know, usually every year I usually will do some kind of big playthrough of the game. Yeah, but with this, you know, you just start whacking at him, and Delphine will join in and stuff, and I always laugh at the part when she talks about that big bad bastard. I don't know why it sounds so kinky or something. Yeah, this Delphine is so annoying. And then after this, once again you have to talk to Delphine, which is always. It's like pulling teeth. It's a grating experience. Yeah, and once again you gotta watch out, because you know you can end up closing the dialogue tree if you get too annoyed with her, because that's what happens. You have to sort of like, you know, kind of put your tongue in your cheek and bite down on that tongue, and just kind of, or do the easiest thing to do. Just the easiest thing to do is turn your headset audio down all the way, and then. You don't hear the voice, you just hear the words, you can get through it, you know, but for some reason, in all the video games I've played, it's just, she's the most grating. I'm sure there's worse, I'm sure that you can find worse, but, you know how it is. But this is a fun little dragon fight, this is fun, this is great.
It's true, isn't it? You really are Dragonborn. I owe you some answers, don't I? Go ahead. Whatever you want to know. Nothing held back. I'm one of the last members of the Blades. A very long time ago, the Blades were dragon slayers, and we served the Dragonborn, the greatest dragon slayer. For the last 200 years since the last Dragonborn Emperor, the Blades have been searching for a purpose. Now that dragons are coming back, our purpose is clear again. We need to stop them. Not a damn thing. I was just as surprised as you to find that big black dragon here. Really? Where? Interesting. Same dragon. Damn it, we're blundering around in the dark here. We need to figure out who's behind it all. The first thing we need to do is figure out who's behind the dragons. The Thalmor are our best lead. If they aren't involved, they'll know who is. Before the Great War, the Blades helped the Empire against the Thalmor. Our Grand Master saw them as the greatest threat to Tamriel. At the time, that was true. Maybe it still is. So we fought them in the shadows, all across Tamriel. We thought we were more than a match for them. We were wrong. Nothing solid, yet. But my gut tells me it can't be anybody else. The Empire had captured Ulfric. The war was basically over. Then a dragon attacks, Ulfric escapes, and the war is back on. And now the dragons are attacking everywhere, indiscriminately. Skyrim is weakened. Who else gains from that but the Thalmor? If we could get into the Thalmor embassy, it's the center of their operations in Skyrim. Problem is, that place is locked up tighter than a miser's purse. They could teach me a few things about paranoia. I'm not sure yet. I have a few ideas, but I'll need some time to pull things together. Meet me back in Riverwood. If I'm not back when you get there, wait for me. I shouldn't be long. Keep an eye on the sky. This is only going to get worse.
One annoying thing too in Skyrim is
I've been looking for you.
by
Got
using
something I'm supposed to deliver.
the unrelenting
Your hands only.
shouts,
Let's see.
Delphine
Looks like
will
that's
be
it.
giving you
Got to
little
go.
messages, and this guy will come up with a message. Now, most of the time, it could be also be from other sources too. So don't think it's just her, but just to let you know that she will remind you to not use your shouts because, oh, well, you don't want to expose yourself as the Dragonborn. She will give you one of these letters. She will remind you of a shout that you did in a dungeon. Why, Bethesda? Why are you having her do this? Because it's in a dungeon. Like, that's not going to expose you. There's just monsters down there. It's not real people. I mean, you're practically clearing the whole dungeon out. There's practically nobody down there who's going to expose. I heard someone using a shout. It's just kind of weird stuff, you know. There's a lot of good in Skyrim, a lot of good, but you do have to call out something that's annoying. And I don't want to read this message. I don't want to waste, a minute of my time
means so much to us
waiting
to
for the guy to get the message out. I get the message, and oh, by the way, you used a shout when that has no bearing on the game. No time does any of the Jarls at the other cities and villages do they ever go after you because they found out, oh, you're Dragonborn. They don't care. They just don't care, okay? The Geratolius and what's his name of the Stormcloaks? He doesn't. Ulfric Stormcloak. He doesn't care either. Nobody cares. You're the Dragonborn. It's just her and her control freak nature.
What happened?
Out of my way.
I don't think you were followed. Come on, I have a plan. I figured out how we're going to get you into the Thalmor embassy. I've been doing this a long time, remember? While the Thalmor have been looking for me, I've been watching them. The Thalmor ambassador, Elenwen, regularly throws parties where the rich and connected cozy up to the Thalmor. I can get you into one of those parties. Once you're inside the embassy, you can get away and find Elenwen's secret files. I have a contact inside the embassy. He's not up for this kind of high-risk mission, but he can help you. His name is Malborn. Wood Elf. Plenty of reason to hate the Thalmor. You can trust him. I'll get word for him to meet you in Solitude at the Winking Skeever. You know it? While you're doing that, I'll work on getting you an invitation to Elenwen's little party. Meet me at the Solitude stables after you've arranged things with Malborn. Any questions? Sounds good. Be careful.
Huh?
Okay, so now you're going to do the embassy.
Where do you want to
the
go?
embassy mission. The embassy mission is
Climb and back.
a
and we'll
very
be off.
fascinating little mission. It can actually be fairly entertaining if you
First
take
time
your
to
time
Solitude?
with it.
Beautiful old city.
Or if you do it
Capital of
wrong,
Skyrim,
it could
but
be
I'm
one of the
sure
most
you'll-
painful missions in the game. How can it be the most painful mission in the game, you would say? Well, when you talk to Melbourne in Solitude, you will what he's asking you for, he opens a window and he wants you to give him his stuff so he can smuggle that in. If something happens where you close that window, you're not going in with anything. Okay, with the exception of the suit they give you, which is why I think there is actually where you can grab a dagger from where they have the buffet with all the food and stuff, and you'll see it. You'll see I grab a dagger. Well, you can use that if you don't grab anything, and you're gonna have a hard time. I have it on easy, but I've played this back in the day. I literally played this like on the harder difficulties, and
They can't hurt Uncle
they hit
Longhair.
hard. They
Tell
hit
them
really
you do
hard,
it.
and especially with a lot of that lightning magic. It takes a lot of hit points. I made the mistake. I closed that window before I could give them anything, and Lily Melbourne wouldn't even give me the time of day. I couldn't reopen that window.
Really?
And it was like I was like,
You're who she
what?
picked?
And I don't think
hope
I
she
had
knows what
our
she's doing.
save file.
Here's the
in
deal.
hand.
I
I
can
just had
smuggle
to,
some equipment
I had
into
to
the embassy for you. Don't
bite
plan
my
on
tongue
bringing
and get
anything
through
else
it.
in with you.
So
Thalmor takes security very seriously.
which made it for
Give me what you
relieving
can't
once I
live
got through the
without,
quest. But
and I'll make
actually,
sure to get it
all
into
you
the
need to do
embassy.
is
The rest
give all
is
your
up to
stuff
you.
to Melbourne. You're going to be naked, which is really funny. It's really funny. Like you're running through Solitude
Okay,
naked
I'll get
with
this
just your
inside the
underwear on.
embassy for
You
I've
can
gotta go.
hear.
I'll find you
It's
at the
really
party.
funny
Don't
having
worry.
the music off because you can hear the patter of your naked feet on the ground. It's funny. It's like pat 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 pat. Like naked man running through town. And some of the comments are really good. Yeah, so the one barkeep was like, wait a minute. It's good. I love this game. That's why I'm doing this, because I like it that much. I just want to have a testimony of just like, be like, well, I got through this. I tried to 100% it the best I can. So, okay, so what is, you gave Melbourne your stuff, then Delphine's going to give you a party costume. Go ahead and you put the costume on. You open up the dialogue tree again. She registers you got the costume on. She says that's about the best we can do here. So you're going to go ahead. You're going to... Actually, I kind of took this kind of seriously. I think I didn't actually take her costume. I actually went ahead and grabbed like a... there's actually a costume... like a fancy costume maker in Solitude, and I actually bought like a nice costume. You don't have to do that. I was just role playing extra hard when I was playing this back in 2011, 2012. So what you're gonna do is when you get in there, you're all dressed up. When they're asking you what's your name, just understand, that's going to be used for bounties in the future. When randomly the elves attack you, and I hate when a fantasy name doesn't come to my head, and I played this game since 2011, but at some point,
Your job is to get into the party without being
with the elves, they
I'll take care of the rest.
they will send out groups to go after you, as you're out in the wild, especially after this quest. That sort of triggers it. Before that, they don't care, because you're going to grab some of their important top secret files and stuff. So, there's a lot of ways to go through it. This is actually, but it's actually, as long as you do that first part, like I said, it's not that hard. It's pretty easy.
Have you given Malborn the gear you want to
Actually, I like the
embassy?
guy who disrupts the dinner party.
Good.
That guy's really funny. I like that guy.
But the only way you're going to get past the guards
you'll kind of notice I kind of take his advice. Like I don't ask the actual members what they actually do. It's kind of insulting. Because I try to be like, well, if you're like trying to
I'll keep the rest of your gear
be top secret, it'd be like if you're at Bohemian Grove and you see somebody, you recognize that, you're a high-end banker or like, someone in the Republican Party or whatever. You don't ask them what they actually do. You just try to, because that wouldn't be blending in.
You should pass for a real
you would
guest,
just
at
like
least until
talk
you're
about
open
things
about.
at the thing and
Ready
act
to
like
board
you're
the
just
carriage to the embassy?
there with them. You don't talk about their
Don't worry,
life
it
and
will
all
all
that.
be waiting for you when you get back.
Then they would get
Just make
suspicious,
sure you get
about
back out
who
of there
you are
alive
and
with the
stuff.
information we need. Good luck.
Fellow latecomer to Ellen's little soiree. And arriving by carriage, no less. I salute you, sir. My lateness is due more to getting lost on the way up this god's-forsaken mountain than to any desire to actually arrive late. I prefer to arrive early, often the day before the party, so as not to miss out on any of the drinking.
Please, you first.
There's not enough drinking in the world today, wouldn't you agree?
Welcome to the Thalmor Embassy. Your invitation, please.
Damnably cold out here.
Your invitation, please. Thank you, sir. Go right in.
Here's my invitation. I don't have a poison dagger strapped to my throat.
Welcome. I don't believe we've met. I am Elenwen, the Thalmor ambassador to Skyrim. And you are? Have you? All good, I trust. But you have me at a disadvantage. I'm afraid I know nothing about you. Please, tell me more about yourself. What brings you to this... to Skyrim? What is it, Malborn?
It's just that
nobody to hunt down
the man who knows how to make money, war can be a most profitable venture.
I hope you're enjoying yourself, sir. Here you go, sir.
Of course, the
Colovian
most fun
brandy.
part of this is you could basically take all the food. All the food, all the stuff is, you know, it's not marked as steal. You just take the whole thing. You can then, you know, if you want to use that later to make some food, or you want to, you know, well, in case you know, you run out of heal potions or whatever, you know, then it's a little extra. I mean, or you could use that to sell. I mean, I have actually after playing Starfield, I came to the real reason. Well,
this war.
Logic. I said, well, the logic in that game in order to increase your commerce skill, you just grab everything in the beginning of the game, and then you know you can totally level that all the way up. Well, in this game, well, you think about one of the hardest skills to increase is speech. You know, and of course, by increasing your speech, you get you know, better merchant prices. You could even invest in a merchant. You know, invest in one of the shops, so you'll get a little gold from them. And a lot of different options they could build up for that. But I never really went far with that, you know, because it was just hard to increase the speech skill. But the way to do it is the same thing as Starfield. Would be to basically grab every tiny little item and just sell everything. And then it doesn't matter if they have no gold. That maybe, you know, you could actually just try to, you know, drive the speech skill right up.
What can I get for you? What can I get for you, sir? We seem to have run out of Colovian brandy. I'll check in the wine cellar for more when I get a moment. Of course. Let me see if we have another bottle of that. I'll be waiting by the door for everyone to be distracted.
Is the food and drink to your liking? I have no...
What does a fellow need to do to get a drink around here?
Call if you have need of me.
Ah, the one generous soul amongst a gathering of pinch pennies and lick spittles. If there's anything I can ever do for you, do not hesitate to call upon me. Wonderful. I can begin to repay your generosity immediately. Say on, friend. Is that all? My friend, you've come to the right person. You could say that causing a scene is somewhat of a specialty of mine. Stand back and behold my handiwork.
You speak truly. Have you heard any interesting rumors of late?
Attention, everyone! Could I have your attention, please? I have an announcement to make. I propose a toast to Elenwen, our mistress. I speak figuratively, of course. Nothing could be more unlikely than that someone would actually want her in their bed.
Let's go, before anyone notices us.
You were already in bed with her. But again, I speak figuratively, of course. Fine, fine. Get your hands off me.
So far, so good. Let's hope nobody saw us slip out. We need to pass through the kitchen. Your gear is hidden in the larder. Just stay close and let me do any talking. Got it? Follow me.
Who comes, Malvern? You know I don't like strange smells in my kitchen.
A guest feeling ill. Leave the poor wretch be.
A guest? In the kitchens? You know this is against the rules.
Is the food and drink?
Rules, is it, Savani? I didn't realize that eating moon sugar was permitted. Perhaps I should ask the ambassador.
Get out of here. I saw nothing.
Your gear is in that chest. I'll lock the door behind you. Don't screw this up. I've got to get... Back before I missed. Hurry. Get back before I missed.
Is my star
Very much so. And
Come on.
Did you see those robes
You're on your own
this
now.
morning? More of the emissaries.
Do your work!
Don't you see? Elven supremacy is the only truth. Ah! Never should have come here.
You're dead.
Come on!
Fear the Thalmor!
You wish to defeat me?
And this is, of course, where you learn that Delphine's theories on the Thalmor are the ones bringing back the dragons, that they understand all this. They actually have no idea whatsoever why the dragons are coming back. They have no idea. Her theory is wrong. It's kind of a waste of time. Of course, you know, that doesn't make them exactly good people. They're very terrible people. And it's interesting, in most fantasy realms, you know, elves are usually the good guys. And, you know, this is actually interesting little take to make the elves turn into sort of the bad guys again, you know. Yeah, so they don't understand. They do understand, though, that Ulfric Stormcloak is a... you know, they are kind of using him. He's not, you know, he's not an agent of theirs, but they are aware of him and did capture him at one point, but they saw his potential to create a civil war, and they wanted to do that to divide Skyrim so that it would weaken the Empire, because without Skyrim, the Empire was going to get weaker, and then eventually the Thalmor could just take over. In this quest, with Melbourne and stuff, he most time isn't going to survive this quest. Before I had the corruption of the file, I actually got Melbourne out. They failed to actually take Melbourne down. Not in this run. I don't think he made it. And of course, you would think, well, it's going to be an easy road out of the cave, but you end up with some trolls or bears, and it's a bit of a hard road to get out, unless you just sort of run past them, which is always a good option in Skyrim.
You're dead!
I told you. I don't know anything else about it. Fine. There's this old man. I've seen him around. Yes, he matches the description of this. That's all I know, okay? What? Who? Yeah. Come on, this way. I've seen the guards use it to get rid of bodies. If you like, but we need to find a way to unlock that trap door.
You're trapped in here, and we have your accomplice. Surrender immediately, or you both die.
Never mind.
Silence,
I'm
traitor.
dead already.
Never should have come here.
Over here! Victory is yours!
And with that, all you need to do is go back to Delphine, and you're going to give her the information about Esbern. And in the next part, we will work on trying to get Esbern out. We will do the opening intro to the Thieves Guild, which is with Burn Off, and it's that quest we'll talk about. We'll talk about when we get there.
Have you heard? There's been another dragon attack.
Yeah, so Esbern, we're getting into with Esbern, and he's, like I said before earlier in the episode, I generally like the character. Unfortunately, he is not the one in charge of the Blades. It's still Delphine, and you'll learn to not like Delphine. You'll learn to not trust her. She becomes more unlikable by the moment, and it's because once you get her.
Alive, at least.
The Blades, once you get her the Blades headquarters back.
Did you learn anything useful?
They got their ancient headquarters back. And you'll even notice it. You'll notice,
Really?
like, as soon as you enter there.
That seems hard to believe.
Esbern is
You're sure
trying to give you the history of everything. She's like, she's like telling him to shut up, that you're boring and whatever.
Esbern?
And
He's
I was
alive?
getting really angry because I was like,
Thalmor
this
must
is
have
so
gotten years
interesting,
ago.
and it's like,
Crazy
and
old
it's
man.
like,
Figures the Thalmor
they
would be
made
on his
that
trail,
character
though, if they
so
were trying to find out
unlikable.
what's
They
going
went
on with
way
the
too
dragons.
far with it. It's just, it's hard to role play it, that
You mean
really
aside
when it
from
comes
wanting to
to
kill
that
every
faction,
blade they
that
can lay
it's
their
like,
hands on?
y-
Esbern was
anyone
one of
who
the
would
Blades'
choose the blades,
archivists,
it's
back
like,
before
I
the
don't think they
Thalmor smashed
understand.
us
They
during
don't
the Great
understand
War.
that they're
He
not
knew
the
everything about
group
the
from
ancient dragon
Oblivion.
lore
They're
of the
not the
Blades.
group from Morrowind or
Obsessed with it,
Daggerfall.
really.
They're
Nobody
a
paid much
bad
attention
group, and
back
it's
then.
just
I guess
crazy
he wasn't as
lady,
crazy
crazy
as we
cat
all
lady in
thought.
charge of blades, and she's gonna use you, and she'll talk down to you, and you'll do everything she says, and anything, it's good. I gotta hold my rants because there's still more
Riften, eh?
rants. There's
Probably
still
down
more
in the
rants.
Ratley, then.
We're not quite
It's where I'd go.
overdone with the blade stuff yet.
You'd better get to Riften.
Gotta go into the
Talk
next
to
show.
Brynjolf.
Next show is going to be all
He's
about that.
well
Finish up,
connected. A good starting point, at least.
finding
Oh,
Esbern,
and when you find Esbern,
then
if you
taking
think I'm
Esbern and
paranoid,
Delphine to
you may have some
the
trouble getting him
ancient
to
Blade
trust you.
headquarters.
Just
That
ask
will
him
be
where
the
he
next
was
thing
on the
up.
30th of
Now,
Frostfall.
just try to
You'll
get
know
your
what
way
it
back
means.
to her. In the case of this show, I was just trying to cut some time, so I used fast travel. And, a lot of times I will flat out tell you there's so much to get from this game if you you use the main quest maybe is a little bit, you use it a little bit, but then but the game will take you in a whole different direction away from the main quest because there's so many things that can happen. Like maybe someone runs up and says, I need help, these bandits had me hostage, and so now you can go and follow that, that's really the way makes me come back to this game. But in the name of the science, the sciences, I gotta focus. I gotta ignore all that. I'll come back to it. I gotta ignore it, and I gotta focus on the main quest, getting the main quest done. I'll see you next episode.